In a world where the poor live in the water while the rich have bought all the dry land, a man named Nick is about to discover a wealthy landowner's dirty secret. In the aftermath of a great war and the rise of sea levels due to severe global warming, Miami is now completely flooded. People travel by boat and some even live in them. Only the rich, who bought all the dry land in time and built a dam around it, get to live comfortably. They are called the land barons. Due to the extreme temperatures, people have become nocturnal. They sleep during the day and wake up at night. In a less flooded part of town, a man named Nick and his colleague Emily run a business where they allow people to enter their memories and relive them with the use of a high-tech machine. Nick and Emily are both veterans of the Great War. Emily works the machine and Nick guides the people to their memories through carefully crafted verbal prompts. Nick and Emily have regular clients and they get to see the memories that people visit. They also keep records of the memories. One of the clients is Hank, Nick's old war buddy who relives his memories for free as a favor from Nick. Another client is named Elsa, who visits the same memory every time where she is making love to an old man. Emily offers her a recording of the memory to watch, but Elsa says in the machine she can actually feel the old man's embrace, and a recording wouldn't offer that. As Emily and Nick are about to close the shop, a gorgeous woman named May arrives, and Nick is immediately taken by her. She says she has lost her keys and they go through her memories to help her find them. She flirts with Nick throughout the process. Whilst going through her memories, Nick finds out she is a singer and he falls for her when she sings his favorite song. After May leaves, Emily notices that she's forgotten her earrings. Nick arrives at the DA's office where a case is going on against Walter Sylvan, a notorious land baron. Nick is hired by the DA to use his memory machine for interrogation, but Walter's attorney says he is sick and cannot enter the machine. Nick overhears Walter talking to his son, Sebastian, about some girl that Walter is looking for. Nick arrives at the lounge where May sings and gives her back her earrings. The two have a flirtatious conversation. May asks Nick to escort her home and he agrees. When they reach home, May catches Nick staring at her naked back, and the two eventually end up sleeping with each other. Nick wakes up and finds May already outside. They talk and he tells her about the machine. He says that if the same memory is revisited too often, it can get burned in the mind, meaning it would get seared in the brain and play on an endless loop. Just then, his vision begins to fade and he's woken up in the memory machine by Emily. It is revealed that these were all just Nick's memories of May. Nick and May dated, fell in love, and planned a future together. But one day May disappeared without any explanation. This was several months ago. Since then, Nick has been revisiting his memories of her, trying to understand why she left. Emily tells Nick that wherever May went, she has moved on and he should too, but Nick refuses to do so. He spends all his time obsessing over her, going to the place she worked and talking to people she knew, but no one knows where she went. One girl tells Nick that May wasn't the person he thinks she was, and Nick has no idea what to make of this. One day, Nick hears a knock on his door and he goes out to find that no one is there. But May's earring is lying on the ground. Emily says that it could have fallen a long time ago and just been flowing through the sewers, but Nick is convinced May is trying to contact him. Nick and Emily are called in by the DA's office. They are asked to go through the memories of a man named Fawkes, who worked for a drug kingpin, St. Joe. As they are going through his memories from 5 years ago, they notice that a dirty cop works for Joe and covers for him. Just then, the memory shows a young May singing at Joe's lounge. Nick is shocked and explores further despite protests from the DA because this isn't relevant to their case. In the memory, Joe approaches May and offers her a drug called Baca. Just then, one of the lawyers interrupts Nick and prompts Fawkes himself. However, his prompts aren't properly crafted, and Fawkes starts to crash. Nick brings him back with a calming prompt and continues searching through his memories for May. He finds that later on, May became a complete Baca addict, stole drugs from Joe, and ran away. The lawyer tells Nick that Baca is extremely addictive, and if May did it once, she probably never stopped. Nick doesn't understand because he never saw May take any Baca, but Emily reveals she knew about May's Baca addiction and just didn't feel it was her place to mention it. Nick leaves. Nick arrives at St. Joe's place pretending to be a customer for his drugs, but Joe immediately figures out that is not true and has his guards shove Nick's head in the water to interrogate him. Nick reveals that he is looking for May. Joe says that May is a trickster who plays people to get what she wants. He says she played him for drugs and money and asks what she played Nick for, but Nick doesn't have an answer. Joe laughs at the fact that Nick's been deceived and he doesn't even know what for. He orders his guards to kill Nick and they shove his head in the water, but just then Emily arrives to rescue Nick. A shootout takes place in which one of the bullets hits the water tank, freeing Nick. He injects the guard with the sedative he gives people when they are going in the machine. Together, Nick and Emily manage to take Joe out. Nick goes through more memories of May trying to find what she took from him. In one of the memories, May tells Nick that at one point, she accidentally ended up drifting in the ocean in a boat with no oars, and she was rescued by a woman named Frances, who lived in a house in the middle of nowhere. Emily was the last person to see May before she disappeared, and she decides to go through that memory. In the memory, May arrives at the shop and offers Emily a drink. The two discuss their histories. May talks about her addiction to baka, and Emily talks about her addiction to alcohol and how it separated her from her daughter. Emily goes into the bathroom to look at a picture of her daughter, and May steals the keys to their vault while Emily is inside. This means May stole some records of memories. Nick and Emily go through their memory records and find that the record of their client Elsa is missing. They can't understand what May would want from Elsa. Nick goes to look for Elsa and finds that she has been murdered while her son Freddie has been kidnapped by May. Nick is incredibly confused and wonders if he knew May at all. Nick goes to an abandoned house looking for May, but he is attacked by a man who tells him to stop trying to find May. The man is revealed to be the dirty cop that worked for Joe. Nick and Emily go to the DA's office to find his identity. While they are there, they find out that Walter Sylvan has died and his son and wife are inheriting all his wealth. Nick recognizes Walter's wife, who used to be a client of Nick's. Something is wrong with her. Nick manages to look at Elsa's memory because he saw it before, and it's also in his memory. He deduces that the man Elsa was making love to in the memory she visited again and again was Walter Sylvan. He deduces this by comparing a memory Walter's wife used to visit with Elsa's memory. Emily finds out that the dirty cop is named Cyrus Booth. He used to work for Joe, but more recently he has been working for the Sylvans. Now they understand everything. Walter Sylvan had a son with Elsa outside of his marriage, and he hired Booth to kill the son and Elsa. Booth hired May to get close to Nick and destroy the records of Elsa's memories from Nick's archives. Emily tells Nick to go to the police, but he says the police won't care about the murder of a poor girl like Elsa. He says he will find Booth and use her to find May, which will lead to Freddie. Emily says that Nick is just blinded by his obsession with May. Nick responds that Emily runs away from everything in her life like her daughter and her family by drowning herself in alcohol. He fires her, saying that this job and working with Nick is also a form of escape for her, and he should have done this years ago. Nick goes to see the Sylvans. He finds that the memory Walter's wife used to visit has been burned in her mind, and they've built a fake recreation of it to keep her occupied. He makes her come to her senses and questions her about Elsa. She says that Walter didn't want to share his wealth, so he hired Booth to murder Elsa and Freddie. Nick asks where they are, and she tells him. Sebastian arrives and calls security. They take Nick outside while Sebastian helps his mom recreate her memory. Security is about to kill Nick when they notice his tattoo and realize he's a veteran. They are veterans themselves, so they spare him. Nick finds Booth, whose face is now burned. Nick pulls a gun on him, but Booth knows Nick won't shoot him because he needs Booth's memories to get to May. Booth runs, and a chase begins. They end up at a house that is half underwater. During their fight, Nick traps Booth's arm in a piano. The floor breaks from beneath him, and he starts drowning. Nick saves him, but Booth kicks him as he is swimming to the surface. Nick almost drowns, but wakes up in time. He reaches the surface and sedates Booth. Nick goes through Booth's memories. In the memories, Booth arrives to pick May up on Joe's orders. However, he says he will not hand May over to Joe as long as she helps him with the Sylvan's job. May and Booth learn everything about Nick. They learn about his favorite song from his old war buddy, Hank. They set up the lost keys, the earrings, and every part of their plan. It seems that a few months into the plan, May shows hesitation, and Booth warns her not to grow a conscience or actually fall in love with Nick. After getting the record of Elsa's memories, Booth goes to her place and murders her. He is about to go kill Freddy when May arrives. She rescues Freddy and takes him away on a boat. Next, May arrives to see Nick when Booth kidnaps her. May intentionally drops her earring for Nick to find. Booth interrogates May about Freddy's whereabouts, and suddenly May starts speaking to him very affectionately. Nick realizes that May is actually speaking to him through the memory because she knew one day he would find it. She tells him Freddy is at the house in the middle of nowhere. He enters the simulation and takes Booth's place. She says that she loves him and that the way he saw her made her want to be a better person. His love made her want to be more than just a mess. She then kisses Booth, or rather Nick. She kicks Booth, overdoses on Baca, and commits suicide to keep Freddy's location a secret. Enraged at what he's seen, Nick burns Booth's most painful memory into his mind as revenge. The memory of how he got his scars. Now he will relive that repeatedly forever. Nick deduces that it wasn't Walter Sylvan who ordered Elsa's murder. It was Sebastian because he didn't want to share his inheritance with Freddy. He informs the police who take Freddy into protective custody. He also informs Sebastian who tries to shoot Nick, but doesn't have the guts to do it. Nick meets Emily and tells her to go see her daughter and stop running from her life. Having intentionally burned a man, Nick is now facing a death sentence for the crime. However, due to his help in exposing the Sylvans, he has cut a deal. He will spend the rest of his life trapped in the memory machine for a sentence. He relives his memories with May for the rest of his life. Many years later, an old Emily and her daughter look after an old Nick inside the machine who relives his moments with May. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.